Hi, this is Michelle. I'm here with Kara.
Hey, everybody.
We are Keto United, and this is our Keeping It Real with Keto United. We wanted to let you know we haven't been on and able to do one of these in quite a while, probably a year, actually.
At least a year.
Kara and myself both had a lot of parental health issues last year that took a good bit of time, and it took a good bit of emotion out of us to where we had to focus on that and running the company, and that kind of took everything that we had. But things are better this year, aside from 2 Achilles tendon surgeries that I'm hoping to heal from correctly this time. So we are ready to roll and get back with our series. So we're glad you're here with us. And Kara, who's with us tonight?
We have Cory Conklin with us today, and I met Cory last year at the Raleigh, North Carolina Adapt event. I had met his family prior to him and fell in love with him, and then just kind of met him as being one of the event sponsors there, and we just got to talking, and you know how you get to mingling, and I walked away with one of my favorite spices that I'll talk to you about a little bit later. But Cory is the owner of Creative Keto Cook that he started in 2018, and then the sister companies within that are Select Savory Seasonings and Select Savory Snacks. And I tell you what, I have bought from both, and my family is now addicted. I reached out to Cory after I bought my first little bit of, is it Biltong? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
And I bought a little pack, and I said, oh no, I can't do the little pack because I sent it with my husband to work, and I never got to taste it. So he said, okay, buy the big pack and then get yourself like a food saver and then ration him out. And I did. I'm eating these little tiny little things. So I got to have some. And let's say it was great. I love it. It's very soft. Go ahead and tell us what we do here at Keeping It Real with Keto United. We see all the interviews that have like what we call the keto celebrities. You know, you hear all about them all the time, but you don't hear about the people that are just the average person trying to, do good in this community. And that's what we really want to do with this YouTube series is just give a voice to people that are average but have amazing stories and are doing really good stuff in the community. So tell us about your keto journey.
Sure. Excuse me. That went down wrong. I've actually, for most of my adult life, have done some variation of a low-carb diet. I briefly, once or twice, tried low-fat in my early 20s. And after a week or two, I'm like, this just tastes horrible. I threw it all away. And like, this is what I have to eat, I don't care. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's when Atkins was starting to pick up. I went and picked up the book, and so you know what? It doesn't hurt to try it for 30 days.
Right.
Give it a month or two, see what happens. And sure enough, start losing weight, start feeling better. And in my case, it was usually a holiday that would throw me off. Christmas, I would go home to visit with family and friends, and I'm going to stick to it. Ooh, that dessert looks good. I'll have one. And then the next day, well, I did it yesterday, so okay. And well, when I get home, I'll get back to it. And, 30 pounds later and a year later, I'm back to where I started. And I did that several times, back and forth. In, I think it was 2011, my wife and I were on a missions trip, and a friend of ours like, look, you need to do something. And he specifically had said, this is back in the HCG craze. He's like, hey, I've used it. It works. And he put me in touch with somebody that he was working with. And it does work. I don't recommend it because it doesn't work long term, but I always found it interesting that when you're done with that, you're supposed to eat low carb keto anyway.
Right.
I was like, okay. So, and I had actually gone from my heaviest was 280 pounds. I was needing size 50 pants. I just was never going to buy them. To I got back down to a little under 190, and then probably another holiday, and I put a good 40 pounds back on. 40 or 50 of that, but yeah, I got back up to 240. And hung around 220 to 240. I'd go back and forth. And our boys were born 2000. Well, let's see here. 7 years ago was our first one. And I told my wife, they're not going to eat like I did. Now I know, looking back, that as a kid, waking up at 3 a.m. because my intestines hurt wasn't normal. That was the junk I was eating. It was the grains in particular, and the body not liking it. I don't want my kids to be the chunky kid in school anymore. So I said, okay, that's it. I need to back. We're not going to feed them like I used to eat. The drawback was I wasn't always eating like I'm telling them to. So we would go somewhere, or we would eat pizza, but they would have hamburgers and hot dogs for supper, which they didn't care. They loved hamburgers and hot dogs and still do. They would eat hamburgers every day of the week. And my wife had actually at one point said, look, you're not doing what you're supposed to. And she'd said it once or twice, and I finally said, you need to stop, because if you keep pestering me, I'm going to go the wrong way and say, forget it, and I'm going to eat whatever I want.
Husbands do that. Oh, my goodness.
Don't give me that. Wives do that too. But it was just, I told her, I have to come to this. I can't be pushed.
Right.
And that's with anybody. Even a gentleman I talked to today, he's like, yeah, because I tell my wife the same thing. And he's tall, but he's also a very large man. And I'm like, I've been there. And a year or so later, it was actually November of 2017. My wife just said, hey, look, let's see who can lose 10 pounds the fastest. Well, you've met my wife. She doesn't have 10 pounds to lose.
Right.
And yeah, okay, 10 pounds maybe.
The competition, though. Yeah,
I was like, I win. There's no contest here. I'm 230 to 40 pounds. You're not. But for some reason, that's when it just clicked. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm telling my kids to do something I'm not willing to do. I want to be here for my kids. I don't want to, when I get older, say, hey, grandkids, Grandpa loves you, but I got to go take a nap. I tell people now this still requires a lot of work on my end, but I want to be Marxistic and be in my pushing 70 years old and embarrassing the 20-year-olds out on the ultimate Frisbee field.
There you go.
I'm nowhere near that condition. I'm not a world-class athlete, but I would still want to be, 70, 80, 90 years old and thriving, not just surviving. The sweet old lady in our church is who I really wanted when I was growing up. I wanted to be Mrs. Freese. She was in her 90s, and she lived by herself. But every Sunday, she'd say, yep, I'm going to go help out the old folks in the nursing home today or tomorrow. I'm like, you're 90, and they're 60s to 70 maybe. I'm like, but that's what I want to be that when I grow up. I'll never grow up when I get old. And that's part of my whys that finally it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So it was actually Thanksgiving Day of 2017 is when I said, this is it. And we had an amazing Thanksgiving dinner that had none of the carbs and the garbage. And other than maybe a handful of meals, not even days, but meals that since then, I've stuck to a low carb keto approach. And I've had keto binge days, and then I can remember the times I had something I shouldn't have, and the next day or two I'm like, why do I just feel?
You regret it instantly.
Oh,
like 15 minutes, and I'm like, it was a terrible idea.
And it's a week or two later before you're back to normal.
You're absolutely right.
I mean, in the past, I would have said, I just gained 10 pounds. This is worthless, and said, forget it. Now, after listening to podcasts and so forth, it's like, okay, I didn't gain 10 pounds. I'm retaining water.
Right.
And so I tracked it. I watched it. And, I paid attention to how I felt so that I can now, when I go, man, that McDonald's sure looked pretty good. And I'm not talking about eating the meat out of a double quarter pounder. I'm talking the whole thing. I go, yeah, but I don't want to feel like that for the next week.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Yeah, I totally agree.
So, and that's where I'm at today. I'm actually about at 195. I'm leaner than I was at 188 because I've been at a resistance training at the beginning of the year.
Great.
So it's nice that I'm actually fitting into stuff better than I was last time I had at my lowest weight. So that's a complete other topic of mindset, and
we have been there. I have, I hit my 109 pounds lost, and over the years doing the same thing, the holidays, the vacations, the whatever, I creeped it back up, and then I had to lose it again. And, and then like Michelle said, she's had 2 major surgeries in the last, and I actually went into the OR 5 different times last year for spinal surgeries.
Right.
So that creeped, weight back on that I'm losing again. So it'll never be an end to this.
Right.
This is how we eat, and we continue it for our health. And you're right. You kind of have to learn from your mistakes and outweigh the cause and effect and stuff like that. So that's great that you have full circle, came to that. Now, how do you implement food in your house? You just don't bring it in, right?
Basically, yeah.
Right.
And even what I do bring in, like the kids eat fruit. We used to feed it to them a lot more often when they were young. So we would get bananas and grapes, but after again listening, especially like to Ted Naaman, he's like, bananas are nothing but a sack of fructose.
Right.
So are grapes. I'm like, yeah, they are. So we just don't bring them in.
Right.
And when the kids have them, it is a true treat. When it's in season and so forth. Like right now, we're going to the farmers market. We're buying strawberries, and they're having strawberries. They're good. They're good for them. I avoid them. I've had the sweets that type of a sweet out of me for so long. I don't care for them anymore.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the other great things about it is once it's out of your system, you don't really crave it.
Really crave it. Yeah.
I don't want it. It's the salty savory that's my problem. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, I want the chips and salsa, but I don't get it.
Right.
Speaking of savory, that is a key word in your companies. What is your why as to how your companies came about?
Yep. December of 2017, I was going to cook either some ribs or some pulled pork. I don't remember which. Went to the local grocery store and was looking at all of the barbecue rubs. And this store had about 50 of them. And every last one, the first or second ingredient was sugar.
You're right.
And in the past, I would look at that and say, okay, but the nutrition label says 0.
Right.
And now I understand now that the federal government lets you finagle that. If it's 0.5 or less, you can round it down to 0. So if you ever look at the serving size on this stuff, it's 1/4 teaspoon. They do it on purpose so they can say there's nothing in there, despite the fact it's ingredient number 1. Right. And I literally stepped back, looked at the rack, and said, this sucks. I'm not the only one. I'm going to go start my own company. And that's where Select Savory Seasonings came from. And over the next couple of months and working with a friend of mine, that's also where the creative keto cook came from. He's like, well, you need to be able to show people how to use your seasonings and help people that don't know how to cook it. They don't know how to prepare food. So that's where the two of those kind of came in together back in early 2018, May of 18, I think is when I finally launched product for the Select Savory Seasonings. And then over the next 2 years going to conferences and stuff, a lot of people just asked, hey, do you know of a good sugar-free beef jerky? And I'm like,
right.
No. And so, okay, well, I need to look into that because it's almost every jerky in the store is loaded with sugar.
And it's gotten worse. And it seems like when I started this 10 years ago, you could find stuff. But now it's even in the bacon jerky. And I'm like, how did you mess up bacon jerky? But they've shoved sugar in everything.
They do. And when we were at Low Carb Denver, one of my customers was at the local 7-Eleven. He snapped some pictures of some organic beef jerky that had 12 grams of sugar per serving.
Wow.
It was of all the nutrition, it was like 2/3 of the garbage in there was sugar. Right. And I'm like, oh, but it was organic cane. Yeah, no, it's sugar.
Right.
And
it's sad, but there's a vast majority of people that believe that.
Yeah. That's true. They think, oh, it's organic. Yeah. Well, so is cow poop, but we'll leave that alone.
Good point. High five for that one.
And so is arsenic, but so It was early last year. I had actually was working with a company to possibly come out, help me formulate a sugar-free jerky. And I had found some, but the problem with them is they're all either very dry because it's just water, vinegar, and some seasonings, and then it all cooks out. So it's very dry. It's like chewing on a tire. Or you have to just load it with soy sauce to keep it kind of tender, and it's still very chewy. And fortunately, I did an episode of the HPO podcast with Dr. Baker and Zach Bitter, and Dr. Baker said, you need to look into Biltong. Like, okay, I've heard of it, but I figured, the big man says I should look into it, so I got done, did a Google search, and lo and behold, isn't there a company an hour south of where I live that's all they do. They moved from South Africa, where Biltongs, they are the largest Biltong manufacturer of South Africa. And so called them up, went down, met them, toured the facility, and long story short, started off with the original Biltong that you've got. And then 2 or 3 weeks ago, and actually I'll back up. He had me try several of the other manufacturers that he makes for, not manufacturers, the brands. And they're good. And he's like, here, try this. This is what you would buy if you went to South Africa. And of course, we're in the US. Everything has to be lean, no fat. And that's what almost every Biltong in the United States does. And I'm like, why would I want the other stuff? He's like, exactly. He has one other person that he actually makes the fatty jerky, the fatty Biltong for. And it just, as it's much more tender. It's full of flavor.
Oh, it is so tender. And that's what I don't like about jerky is it's like you're doing that. And that's, that's not enjoyable. That's not ladylike.
That was the problem with your back. You pulled it out.
That's it. You're right.
And
but yeah, it's fantastic. That really is the best definition. Is it's jerky, but it's just very soft and pliable. It's great. I love that.
And it's because it's not cooked.
But it's also not like what you would buy in those stupid little snuff looking cans. You know what I'm talking about?
I used to use it. I used to get those as a kid all the time.
Right. It's not that either. So it's. Yep. I don't want people to think it's that type of stuff either. It's just soft jerky. It's really great.
And 2 or 3 weeks ago, I actually added a spicy chili Biltong. I have to be careful. I'll eat my entire inventory if I'm not careful.
I would imagine so. Yeah, that would probably not be very long lasting in my house either.
And we added it's called Drovors. Looks like it's spelled Drovors, but it's a beef stick. So it's beef, fat, seasonings in a sheep casing.
Is that what you just ordered, Michelle? Uh-oh, she's muted.
Yes, I muted because of the dogs. Yes, I placed my order today. It sounds delicious.
Okay.
I cannot wait to try it.
You're the one. Well, it's close enough. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. You getting to look at your order.
First, the light's probably not going to help, but I forget it. My kids would live off of this if I allowed them to. So it's just a meat stick.
Nice.
It's very tender. I mean, as you can see, I can actually bend this, and it's not even.
Oh, wow.
So it's very soft. It's very tender. If you're not a nutmeg person, that's the second spice ingredient. But it's coriander, nutmeg, rosemary, pepper, mushroom powder. And I think the mushroom powder is used more for the curing process, and a little bit of clove.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be rude and eat that while we're talking.
Everything sounded delicious to me, but the mushroom powder. But I figured out everything else would overpower that. So
it does. You have no clue. I'm not a fungus person at all, and I'm not opening this because I don't want to. But the Biltong, it's a very, very thin. It's very tender. Yeah, that's not so bad. And the spicy, I just asked him. I didn't think he'd make it for me because I order so little. Because I don't just drawing the business like, yeah, we'll just season a couple of pieces of it and pack it and off you go. I'm like, I love you.
Right. I love when companies will work with you. All right. Now tell me, when I went on, like I remember you setting up at the Adapt event and you had a whole table full and it was all set up but I really didn't understand the magnitude of how many spices you really do have and you've created. I was like, here's a bundle and here's a bundle. And like, how do I want to bundle this and this. And I was like, it was like I was having a field day. So I did pick a few, and I have a few here that are my favorites. And I will tell everybody out there that Cory will tell you how to use something, because I bought the Who Needs the French Onion Soup Mix. And I'm like, I don't like French onion soup, but this just sounds good. I'm like, what do I do with this? And he's like, do this, this, and this. And I'm like, I would have never thought of that. I am not the chef. Michelle and I both, share that non-cooking, I throw everything together, and if it works out, it works out type of thing. But other than that, we are not cooks for sure.
I'm all for the air fryer.
I want one of those so bad, but I got too many other gadgets. My wife would shoot me.
I hear you.
Oh, they're awesome.
So I'll stick with my sous vide and my smoker.
Yeah.
I'm a smoker.
Well, I'm sure it's better quality food.
Right.
Yes.
I actually am going to try the CJ's Savory Barbecue Rub. I have a butt roast now getting ready to go in the smoker. I should have done it today because it's sunny, but the next sunny day, it's going to go out there and use that one. The one you gave me was the Savory Pumpkin Pie Spice. We have a pumpkin bake that one of our local volunteers has a recipe in our old cookbook. She makes the best pumpkin bake ever. And I use this now instead of, breaking down everything. So as you can see, I use a lot of it. But my all-time favorite of what I have purchased from you is the Ranch-tastic seasoning.
Yeah,
that
just far and away outsells everything else.
That is a very cool combo. That's I get so stuck in the same old poultry seasoning, beef seasoning, allspice, whatever. This is something different. And I really, really enjoy this. I've put it on just about everything.
I think it was KETO Con. You know how people can be. So what's it good on? Literally everyththing.
Right.
How about some ice cream?
Oh, well, go for it.
Okay. Everything but ice cream. Okay. But I literally, any food I cook, it goes on it. I mean, people, what do you, I'm like,
yeah,
beef,
I
chicken,
stuck
pork, all veggies,
rice, cauliflower, with some butter, and it was fantastic last night. Yeah.
No, so, it was ranch-tastic.
You got me. Yeah, it was ranch-tastic for sure.
I ordered the lemon
your
pepper
favorite is
for wings.
Oh, wings.
I'm gonna try our lemon pepper wings from our spot. So hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be able to not have to buy them and pay a whole bunch of money and be able to make them yourself with his lemon pepper.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm anxious to get my package.
That's
actually what's going to be taken care of when we're done.
He's going to get right on it for you.
What service?
I want to know what your favorite spice is. Like, what is your go-to besides the Ranch-tastic?
Besides the ranch. Lately, I just released our Mediterranean dry rub. You look at it and you're like, it's Italian. It is, but it isn't. So like tonight we actually made beef Huevos Rancheros. Really big word for you cook ground beef. You make a little, once it's cooked, I actually put a little bit of cream in it. But then you make little pockets and crack eggs into them, put a lid on, and you steam the eggs. Sometimes you can throw tomato sauce in there, which is usually what you do. So you could use a low sugar marinara sauce, but I didn't have any, didn't care. And then I had seasoned everything with the Mediterranean dry rub, sprinkled some cheese on it, and I think tonight I added some raised cauliflower as a filler, just because I didn't have as big of a pack of ground beef as usual.
We need some cooking with Cory videos or something. That sounds great.
Once I'm selling enough of this that I don't have to work full time, We'll be working on that.
Trust
me, it's on my list of things to do.
We can get you.
You volunteer to taste test.
That's right.
You got to come down here to do it.
Next time, we'll be down. We'll be down the next Adapt event. Hopefully, they roll them out in the fall.
Hopefully,
we plan on being down as soon as we can get them up, because we were a week away from the one up here in Winchester, Virginia. Oh, it just killed me to have that canceled. But
ironically, I got to go to Low Carb Denver that weekend.
Did you?
They did do it. Now, granted, it was the only conference going on, and they took all the precautions. The governor had actually said, you guys probably should shut down. And they said, look at all that we're doing.
Right.
And they said, okay, we'll just space out the chairs.
Okay, well.
And nobody, as far as I've heard, nothing that anybody got anything.
That's good. That's good.
Now, there was a fraction of the attendees.
Right. And I think that's a lot of the reasoning for having to shut things down too, is it's just not cost effective to put on these big events, you know, when people aren't,
nobody's there.
So, yeah, we've had to do a whole lot of backing off. We shut down everything. You know, a lot of our volunteers and our support group people locally, you know, we're all from backgrounds of being sick, being ill. You know, I'm still a type 2 diabetic. I always will be. I'm just controlled with food. Yeah. Michelle has 4 autoimmune diseases. So they're controlled with food. So, you know, we took that into consideration, and we're like, we're not going to put anybody, you know, at risk, especially these people that have done, I put it on my Facebook. I said, you know, I didn't lose all this weight to go out like this. So, you know, we've done so much good stuff. We're not going to let this virus hit us. We're coming
so what's next on the agenda? I'm sure there's something else Select and Savory coming up.
Yep.
You enlighten us?
Sure. Well, I do want to do more meat snacks, an actual like a Slim Jim. I got somebody that I can work with on that. I don't have the money for the minimums. And I'm working with somebody on the absolute best pork rinds you've ever had. The coronavirus has killed it, getting everything set up right now. But they're using my savory wing rub for a buffalo wing one, jalapeno salt for a jalapeno lime. And maybe those are the 2 for certain that they're going to do. And then the plain ones, you don't even, I mean, they're so good you don't. So I'm working with somebody on that. And then my goal has been later this year, but we'll see how it goes, is to start Select Savory Sauces. Again, people are blown away when I tell them there's sugar-free barbecue sauces available on the market.
Right.
I want to go, do you not shop at Walmart? Now, G Hughes isn't my favorite, but it works. Same with their ketchup. It's like there's sugar-free ketchups, but so many people go, really?
Right. Yeah, they have no idea.
And for dressings, aside from Primal, there's nothing.
There's nothing that's good quality. No, you're right.
So that's what I would like to get into next, to study to do barbecue sauces, salad dressings, mayonnaise.
We need stuff like I don't know, like mock Chick-fil-A kind of sauce. You know, the oddity sauces that people are all addicted to. You know, Hughes does make a honey barbecue honey mustard that
mustard
tolerates, you know, but I don't think it's amazing, you know, but it's
we made something with chicken a week or 2 ago, and I'm like, it worked.
Right.
Now, my kids think it's the greatest thing ever, but
it can be improved on. I agree.
Yes.
All right. We only have a couple minutes left. Tell everybody in our group what you've done generously for us.
I have for either website. So let's see here, Select Savory Seasonings, which is actually selectseasonings.com and selectsavorysnacks.com. Same coupon code. It is just Keto United, all one word. It's 10% off.
That's awesome.
And if you ordered both, Michelle, I apologize. If somebody wants to order both,
that's okay.
Order the snacks, pay for the shipping, and then when you order the spices, click on pickup. And then when I see that, I know to go back to the snacks and say, okay, put these 2 together and ship them out.
Yeah, that's exactly
to try to help out.
What I did last time, and got my shipping comboed.
Yep.
So it saved the whole.
Now you tell me that. I'm kidding.
Could be worse.
Oh, we talk every day, but that was something that didn't happen. We didn't.
Patience is not a virtue. I want my stuff, and you know, if the earlier I get it now, since I've already ordered, you're ready to get it shipped. So I'm good with paying both.
That's it.
It'll be on the way when it gets to the post office tomorrow.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. And we thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we can't wait to actually get to see you in person again. And, you know, it's always a good time when we can collaborate and, you know, have, it's all about building up these small businesses that, you know, we're all just trying to do good. Nobody's out here trying to make $1 million. We're just trying to make a living and kind of do what we love and help people and have it all in one.
Yeah.
So anytime we can support a small business that's keto friendly, we're all for it.
Yep.
Exactly. We like to share the word when we find a product that we love. You know, it's important to get the word out.
Yeah, we're not product people, so if we like you,
so when
considered on our
products up and rolling, contact us and we can do another one of these so you can inform our
let everybody know.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right. Well, we thank you
it
so much.
Yep. Thank you.
And we will be talking with you soon.
All right. And thanks for keeping it real with Keto United. We will be back hopefully again next week with another guest. Our goal is to keep this going and keep bringing it to you. So everybody stay healthy, do your part to remain healthy, and hopefully things will get back to normal soon.
That's it.
Right.
Yes.
Everybody stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.